Hello, beautiful morning viewers. This is the Bumper Breakfast Show. A beautiful day, and I'm quite glad that you are here with us this morning. It's a Tuesday morning, and of course, we usually do this Mondays to Tuesdays. We look at the dailies, those stories that made the front page of the dailies, and then we look at one or two of them on the other side of 9. My name is Tomisin. I'm your host for this morning. We're still expecting some of our other guests, so by the time they come back, we'll be looking at some of the stories. But let's start out with the Guardian newspaper. In the studio this morning is Oladeinde Ariyo, who will be joining me to look at this.
I thought you would introduce me. Good morning.
Aare, good morning. How are you today?
Yeah. Nice to be here.
Pleasure having you again. The Guardian newspaper, South Africa begs as the exit of Nigerians hurt the economy. We'll discuss compensation on the 3rd of October, says Ramaphosa. Basanjo, one xenophobic attacks reported to the African Union. 390 more Nigerians to return to Lagos today. Yeah, quite interesting. A Labour federal government meeting on minimum wage implementation deadlocked again. Of course, we're still looking at xenophobic attacks on the other side of 9, so I'm not taking that story for now.
It is shocking that the economy is hurting.
Yeah.
Because Nigerians are leaving.
No, it will. It will. Yeah, it will. Labour federal government meeting on minimum wage. We have implementation deadlocked again. All right, Minister blames stagnant growth on unimplemented NESG reports. Of course, EU moves to give goods from Nigeria others visibility. And it will take alleged marginalization by federal government to the United Nations. Aare, how do you react?
Well, I find it funny because sometimes you just wonder how people project things and come up with your situation. For me, it's neither here nor there.
Right. Of course, our second guest is an Igbo man. So I expect that. So he's a Nigerian, first of all, but an Igbo man. So I'll take that.
Can I tell you something? The people that were brought from South Africa,
yes,
Ogun State had the largest
number.
Yeah.
Wow.
30 people.
Wow.
Now, the thinking that they were all from the southeast,
that's not true,
was defeated. So, you see, we need to really cut off from this mendacious mentality.
Yes.
And start thinking Nigeria. And stop thinking I'm Igbo, I'm Yoruba, or I'm from southwest or southeast.
Because the truth is, wherever an American is from, it's first of all
an American, yeah. But
here, you know, people now go further to say, what state are you from? And they say, oh, I'm from New York, I'm from California.
We are so ethnic minded, so tribalistic that I mean, we find it difficult to say, okay, these are Nigerians.
I think we should come up with a word, tribophobia.
No, it can't be tribophobia now. It should be Nigeria phobia. We are so afraid of being called Nigerians. We start immediately. We start cutting things. Yes.
So we have
and this thing, it destroys. It does not build. You know, and when I remember that during NYSC, we met people from all over Nigeria and we lived as one. Nobody cares where you are from, nobody cares your religion or whatever. And it was one huge family. Some of us got married then and we are still together till today.
Wow. All right, telecoms operators rectify 6.7 million of 9.2 million irregular mobile lines. Minister blames stagnant growth on unimplemented NESG reports. Of course, Buhari appoints Soludo. That's sure. And others as advisors and disbands Oshibaju's team. What do you think?
There's hope for Nigeria. Because the critical elements of the intelligentsia now are moving into the economic management situation.
Okay.
Salami, I know, is very thorough. Bismarck Iwane, I know, is superb. Yes. Soludo has a pedigree. And let's just hope that things will turn around.
All right, Buhari Special Advisor, Professor, you have this economic theme. Okay.
President
Buhari yesterday replaced the economic management team headed by the Vice President with an economic advisory council. Yeah. What do you think that speaks to the competence of the Vice President?
Well, I think it should favor us in a way.
Is the Vice President still going to be part of that
Well, you know, the VP has been a lot busier on several fronts.
Yes.
Maybe from the assessment, he's not been able to give enough time, enough of himself.
Okay, to the economic policies.
So instead of belaboring him and then not ensuring optimum performance, it's better they relieve him of this duty. Let him face other things.
Okay. All right, we go to the Nation newspaper this morning, and the front page banner headline, RMFC ask governors for new revenue sharing plan. That's the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission has requested governors to submit a proposal as the agency begins a review of the revenue allocation formula. Aare will be talking about that. Just wait a bit. Just wait a bit. Wait a bit. We'll be talking about that. My Wish for Nigeria by Bill Gates as SDG's reports inside the Nation newspaper. Just on page 2, Wadume military police tango over trial. Reports create row. And workers force strike over minimum wage negotiation deadlocked. Okay, all right. Now let's have it. This revenue sharing formula business. Of course, there is a formula that has been working.
Exactly, which we've been advocating should be altered. Okay. Why? The states deserve to have more, considering that they are closer to the people. Well, let me give you a good example now. The government said that people coming from South Africa should be taken care of by their states, by their different states. Now, if they would
although the federal government is already giving them 40,000 naira.
No, not federal government. Not federal government. Federal government gave them food. MTN gave them
recharge card
of 40,000 naira.
Oh, recharge card of 40,000.
Yeah.
Is MTN trying to for South Africa?
Prophet Joshua, TB Joshua, yes, gave each of them 100,000 naira. I also heard that Apostle Suleiman also gave them something. I don't know. But government didn't give them money. Government is saying, the federal government is saying, go and meet your state, go and meet your state governors.
No, but right? I said the BOI would do something. Maybe that's what the federal government.
Whatever. Maybe on their behalf of the federal government, right? But they are saying for settlement and integration, they should go and meet their state government. Now, here is responsibility. You are easily pushing it to the state government. When we are now saying, give the state more money, stories now beginning to arise. Unfortunately, it is difficult to fight for the governors because some of them have become impossible. Looking at the recent past, they became emperors and so much wastage.
But if you're saying that the state governments deserve to have more, I'm looking at a situation where but how much impact have they been able to have
with the one that they have now?
With the seemingly little, because let's be sincere. I'm looking at a state like Ondo State, for example. Oil producing states gets some extra allocation, gets more allocation than all other states in the southwest. All other states in the southwest, I'm being sincere. And then you're looking at Ondo State having Aare. Have you passed through that road in recent times? Now, let's come off the federal government road. Let's go into the interior. Look at Ondo, Aare, Okitipupa. Let's look at some of those areas. You know, it's so bad that I think the state governments in that area have gotten used to people providing for themselves. Where I grew up, when you are going to build your house, the first thing you do is you dig a well. My father's house was very close to the water corporation in the Initial land. Wow. I'm not joking. I've always lived around the water corporation in the Initial land. And the last time we had water corporation work for us was before I was 7 years old. Jesus Christ. That was how bad it was. So we were buying, it was more of a, when they bring the water, people will pack out buckets. So because my father was working in a company that had the facility, the only company in the Initial land, they bring water and deliver in tankers to their managers. And that was how we had water. It wasn't because we had a well in the compound. When we finally relocated, the first thing that everybody in my area does is to have a well. You have a well in your house first before you build. And because you've always had a well, it means they're not giving you water. And this is as far back as the late 80s, the early 90s. So I didn't grow up with water corporation. I know what you people are talking about in Lagos. I'm sincere.
Just like the experience I have, until recently, I live in an estate with about 320 houses. Each house has a borehole.
So who gives you water?
Now, you can imagine the the ecological disaster that has been planted in that place, which one day, maybe I will have gone. The disaster will now come home, and then something terrible will happen. And so it is with everywhere. Go to Zoda Estate, go to MK Abiola Estate. Each of the houses there, they have private source of water. And you begin to wonder for how long. When I was growing up in Abeokuta, my father's house didn't have any well. No, we had water piped into our house. Then around areas, you see public water supplies. And they were effective. They were working. Yes, occasionally we had hiccups, but they were not enough to have made people to start digging wells or planting boreholes.
As far as I'm concerned, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, because you never enjoyed that. You know?
But in Lagos now, having lived in Lagos since I started living in Lagos anyway, I've always had water corporation. I've always enjoyed it. I have a borehole in my house. Unfortunately, my borehole doesn't come on more than maybe 3 times in a month.
Okay.
I have water corporation servicing me.
They
supply me every day. So
I
use my borehole on those few days when they don't.
When last did I live? You know, in my over 40 years in Lagos, the last time I stayed in a place where we had water was when I was in Palm Grove. Okay. And
you were close to the Maryland plant.
Then it was there. That was then. I mean, a long time ago. And even at that, they had to reserve. They had to build a massive reservoir. So when the water comes, it goes in there, and then once they sort out, you know, they begin to use the one.
No, so let's go back to this issue of the state governors using the leads they have to actually serve, because I'm still wondering, their whole salaries, they don't pay on time in some places, they don't do inner roads, they don't build drainages, they don't fix canals. So I'm asking myself the question, if you give more money,
they are within the purview of the local government, but the same state government stifled the local government.
So they get the money for both the state and the local government.
Until lately, when they were separated. So I will expect that with that, those inner roads, the drainages and co, will be given some measure of attention. Yesterday, somebody was saying that she was wondering how council chairmen go home and sleep, knowing that they collect rates and taxes from the people, and in terms of service, they're not getting anything back. As I'm talking to you, in front of Kosofe local government,
yes,
there's a gorge. Now, let me call it a gorge. It was a gutter, okay, that had coverage. The slate on it has been removed. And I know that people will have been falling in it. Is it that nobody is seeing enough to have called attention to that? Okay, so for me, give them more money. Let the people also be the one to put their eyes and their noses into it.
And now, how do we now?
They cannot keep quiet.
How do we get good governance in a place where you do not have access to your, to your elected officials? How do you get? How do you get good governance?
The president is so far away from us in Abuja.
And we're talking about it. Interestingly, a couple of weeks ago, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, somebody, I think is somewhere in Abia, the person sent me the text message. We had a conversation here on the show, and we talked about a particular road in Abia State that had been abandoned and marked for
all over Nigeria.
And but interesting. Somebody called me again last week. The person sent me a message telling me categorically, "Thank you for talking about our road." Dangote trucks have moved into the road. The road is now being addressed. Things are being done there. I'm talking about, this is a matter of 3 weeks. And that's the federal government. We will have a federal government, to the best of my knowledge, that we talk about certain things and they withdraw. Ruga came. Nigerians spoke. And the federal government withdrew.
So in the same way,
we expect the state government to be responsive. How do we get the state government to be responsive?
The people should stop being laid back. They should stop the attitude of, it's not my business. It is your business. Good governance is our business. Government is there on our behalf.
Okay.
You should get that mentality.
Okay.
Now, the mentality of worshipping governors or elected representatives should stop. They should be seen as our servants. They are paid from our resources, our commonwealth. Okay, so when we don't allow them breather, and then we're not passive, we are active, we ask the right questions, I think things will change. But where we are not, I mean, we celebrate, you know, they will say somebody built a borehole, the council chairman is going to commission the borehole, and it's an issue.
And it's a waste of time
for celebration.
No, the council chairman will build a borehole and the governor will come there to come
and there was a photograph I saw lately. They built an incinerator. And what was just the thing? It was just a 4-word thing like this. And I was like,
out of the millions,
community
came. Out of the millions that was allocated for community projects, the person built an incinerator. I read somebody built a floating toilet. I mean, sincere. Somebody built a floating toilet. Community project.
Can you imagine?
And
but you see, the community too, they should be active.
They celebrate mediocrity.
They should stop.
Celebrate mediocrity.
See, you elected the chairman, the governor, to give you value, to deliver value into your life, bring in efficiency to your infrastructures. So when they do any of these things, it's not enough to start clapping for. That's why they are there. And they enjoy the process of the office.
Wouldn't it be nice to have a group of people who come together, or your elected officials have a day every month that they meet with the community where they serve?
We used to have...
If you're a senator and you have 15 communities under you, you should have one day each in a month.
Or you can relate with them.
That you can relate with them.
We used to...
And you come, or you send your team, have a PA that addresses, takes their report, and then brings it back to you. When you're doing a community project, you address their need.
We used to have village square meetings where politicians, they come back and flow with the people, and ask questions about what are their needs, because from place to place the needs are different.
Yes.
But not anymore. Not anymore. Even we used to have presidential media chat. It was a monthly affair then. For about an hour or two, they will ask questions. You know, those things are no longer there.
Well, and we need those things actually for
they should be brought back.
For our democracy.
That's why there is heavy reliance now on social media, and that's why misinformation, disinformation fly around easily, because the direct channel is no longer available where information should come from to the people. So those things should be brought back. That way they can be involved in determining what goes in for them. There was a governor that in the last dispensation, I can't remember which state now, decided that each community should come up with what they want by themselves. And then they use that to build their budget. That's responsible and governance for me.
Responsive governance.
So where they say that we want water here, there it may be roads.
Yes.
Elsewhere it may be healthcare.
Yes.
Other places may be school.
Yes.
So that way you can have even development and even and relevant development, let me say. It's the way to go.
It's the way to go, actually, to be able to get the kind of governance that we require. Of course, we're still going to be talking about that economic management team, which the president just inaugurated. But let's talk about 10,000 Nigerian girls forced into prostitution in Burkina Faso. The Nigerian ambassador to Burkina Faso, Ramatu Ahmed, has said no fewer than 10,000 Nigerian girls have been forced into prostitution in Burkina Faso. It brings me back to this craze to travel abroad.
You see, apart from
Aare,
that,
let me tell you a story.
Right? You are here because you are gainfully employed.
No,
gainfully engaged.
Aare, let me tell you a story.
Okay.
Somebody was saying I was listening to a conversation, and a woman was giving a testimony and said, she was in Egypt for like 10 years. She got back. She was a hairdresser. She came back to Nigeria with nothing.
Nothing.
She started
all over again.
And when she was done with the story, the pastor said, who wants to travel to Egypt? A couple of people raised their hands. And the person said, okay, so what are you going to be doing when you get there? They were like, let's just travel.
You see, that propensity is there. But
Don't you
remember
think
that
that's the response? That is what is responsible.
from a research. Now, I'm talking from a research point. I can tell you that 3/4 of those who are criminals today will not be in crime if they have something meaningful to do with their life and their time. In the same way, the people who are running away from Nigeria, they're running away because they are not. I will run away, for instance. Okay, because my life has a meaning here. So before we begin to castigate them, let's understand where they're coming from. Each year we graduate over 1 million graduates from universities. How many of them get employed? So what we now even see is that we are graduating people into unemployment.
Yes.
So when they now say, look, they want to go and look for the green pasture elsewhere, you can't fault them. But like I said, some don't have to go anyway, but they still run away. Everybody wants a better life.
Yes.
Nobody wants to suffer. And it becomes an issue when you see contemporaries holding political offices, living large.
Yes.
And you are there being made to look stupid at all times. So it's both ways. But above all, when we make Nigeria work, Nigerians will stay and work in Nigeria. It's a shame that we have to leave Nigeria and go to Burkina Faso of 4 places.
Of all places.
Of 4 places. I mean, to go and now be prostituting themselves because of what?
You know, one of the few things that we need to look at on this side is people take them there. You know that. You know that some people.
There are those whose business is to ferry human beings across nations for all manner of
and people exploit
illicit things.
In the past, it used to be Italy.
But let me tell you, you as a person, sorry I'm referring to you now. If anybody tells you, look, let's go to Burkina Faso, Egypt.
If anybody tells me let's go to the United Kingdom or let's go to Canada,
I'm sure you will not agree.
No, the first thing I would tell the person is,
before it was Italy and Spain. They were deceiving people and taking them to Spain. But by the time everybody saw what they were undergoing, they stopped going there. Nigerians have stopped going to Libya now. The ones there are begging God to bring them out and bring them back home. It's the same thing. It's no longer everywhere, all over the world. Everywhere, they all have issues.
And that mindset of exploitation, if we exploit
our people, they pay through their noses. They are made to go through some oath taking, and man, you won't believe the kind of treatment they are giving.
I had a story of a young man who was talking about becoming a footballer. He was a footballer right here in Nigeria, of course, looking for greener pastures. Pardon me. Looking for a club looking for a club right here in Nigeria. Okay. And so they introduced them, you know, they go for this campaign and all that, and they introduced them to a foreign agent. Okay. And they started doing all of the planning and everything, and fortunately
that one is a racket.
They got them together and they said, oh, finally they've done the test, they've done the physicals, they qualify, they give them the passport. And they said, you know what, bring your passport. So they all submitted their passports for the visa. And they told them to come for a meeting in a hotel before they give them back their passports. And the boy went there. So when they got there, you know, they were taking them into one room gradually, meeting with somebody. Apparently, when he finally got to his turn, it was actually what you just said. It was an initiation ceremony.
Wow.
And the boy refused. He started screaming. He refused. And they said he should disappear. You know, so the boy ran away. He walked from, they said he walked from somewhere around Ajawa Estate all the way to like Bagada. He was just walking. You know, he couldn't come to himself.
That's what he was faced with.
It wasn't coherent anymore. It took him a while. He finally found his way home. By the time he found his way home, it took him months to be able to gather himself together. But he never went.
But you see,
you know why he told us the story? Someone who was in that group, but who left with them, said they reconnected on Facebook, and the person was like, has been looking for you, blah, blah, blah. And the guy was like, oh, you're so lucky you didn't come with us. And the boy said, do you know that in these 4 years that we've done this, he has lost his mother, he has lost his twin sister.
And he couldn't even come home.
And he can come home.
It's unfortunate.
It's so it's
But I
stuck
think
there.
I think again, mass enlightenment.
So we should actually begin to
apart
get
from the government making life worthwhile here, okay, we should have a regular mass enlightenment, discouraging people from traveling.
Moreover,
There's a movie,
if it sounds too good to be true,
if you have watched the Toha before, you know, the story of a Benin girl that was taken abroad and all that, it was very, very touchy. Nobody will watch that movie.
I want a child.
No.
And parents who are always eager, your friend says, okay, give me your son, let me take him abroad. You're not sure
those
if he's
lies
going to
don't
be
sell anymore. They don't
You're
sell.
not sure if he's going to be peddling drugs when he gets there.
Peddling drug or being used as a sex slave. Yeah.
You don't know what he's going to be used as. So you don't want your child to be taken abroad. Anyway, we've been talking about the 10,000 Nigerian girls who apparently were forced into prostitution in Burkina Faso. We take this quick break. When we come back, it will be time for business. Remember, we're still looking at some stories that made the front page of the dailies today. We'll be back shortly.
This is your radio. This is your radio.
Star FM 101.5 gives you the best of music, news, talk, entertainment, and sports like never before. We give you incisive news every hour, quality music, and sports all day round. Listen to the most entertaining, creative morning show on radio as Star FM gives you top newspaper review, headlines about politics, business, crime, events, and entertainment stories between 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. daily. Our midday show gives you classic, up-tempo, and contemporary urban music to start your day and get you energized. Between 10 to 12 noon daily, we serve it fresh. Now, take your lunch with us on Launch Our Show between 12 noon and 2 p.m. as we pack you with good mix of music loaded with interactive live chart, comedy, game shows, and current events. Our Word of Sports on Star FM comes on daily at the 5 o'clock hour, 6 o'clock hour, and 10 o'clock hour. Daily on Star. Our evening belt showcase a mix of urban music, oldies laced with big jokes, talent on shows, and relationships. You don't want to miss is the PM Crew. And round up your day with us on Body and Soul, 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. Daily with the very best of rhythm and blues, cool music to take you to Wonderland. Join us daily as we give you the very best of music, news, sports, talk, and all-round entertainment. Star FM 101.5, entertaining you all the time. Star FM, your favorite radio station. Star FM on DSTV 869.
Welcome back to the Bumper Breakfast Show. On this side of the show, we're taking a business report from our business analyst, Mr. Kenny Adiaga. Good morning, Mr. Adiaga.
Good morning, Tomisin. How are you today and how was your night?
We're doing very well. What do you have for us today?
Well, a whole lot is happening in the business world. One, let's start with the issue of economic advisor of the federal government, which was just appointed just recently. And of course, there had been issues on that. And the issues are that what happened to the previous economic advisor? What led to this new appointment? Why has government not come up to tell us what exactly is the problem with the economy? These are issues that people are talking about, and of course, in recent, as we go on in the week, we'll be looking at that aspect. And from the mortgage perspective, that is the mortgage industry, we are told yesterday by an expert that Nigerians should stop looking at the mortgage industry like a financial system where deposits are key in that system, but that they should look at it from the long-term perspective of what mortgage is all about, and that they should be looking at it in a manner that will help to increase the economy in terms of GDP and also increase housing for all by the year 2020 as pronounced. But of course, it did say that the 2020 is not a realization. I mean, it can't be realized anymore, and that government will need to shift the post. We'll be looking at that also. And then the market perception of what is happening in the industry. Let's quickly look at the figures as we have it yesterday in the market. The market closed at 13.42 trillion naira as against Friday's closing figure of 18.52 trillion naira. While the all-share index equally closed at 27,574.32 basis points yesterday compared to Friday's closing figure of 27,779.00 basis points. Market transaction yesterday shows that investors traded 271.23 million shares valued at 2.9 billion naira, exchanged in 4,795 deals. Largely driven by activities in the shares of MBN Holdings PLC, GT Bank PLC, Access Bank PLC, and Zenith Bank PLC. For MBN Holdings PLC, investors exchanged 56.57 million shares valued at 309.25 million naira, done in 591 deals. And the market shares traded worth 731.45 million naira, done in 158 transactions at a market closing price of 28 naira 50 kobo per share. Access Bank with 15.89 million shares traded worth 115.55 million naira, done in 304 deals at a market closing price of 7 naira 35 kobo per share, while Zenith Bank PLC shows 15.75 million shares valued at 306.36 million naira, traded in 429 deals at a market closing price of 19 naira 10 kobo per share. Beginners yesterday's tune at 25 as against 13 losers. Beginners was led by Okomo Oil PLC with a price appreciation of 4 naira 50 kobo to close at 52 naira 90 kobo, and was followed by GT Bank appreciating by 95 kobo, closing at 28 naira 50 kobo. Cadbury PLC gained 90 kobo, closing at 11 naira 65 kobo, and Nigerian Tourist PLC gaining 45 kobo to close at 51 naira 50 kobo. From the losers table, we have Airtel Africa PLC topping the table with a price depreciation of 35 naira to close at 315 naira, and was followed by CAP PLC losing 1 naira 50 kobo to close at 23 naira 25 kobo. CCNN, that is Cement Company of Northern Nigeria PLC, went down by 75 kobo to close at 16 naira 50 kobo, and Dangote Cement PLC losing 40 kobo to close at 155 naira. And of course, like I have said in the past, also the market is so wide that the FMDQ Securities Exchange is doing something to expand the scope of how investors can take advantage of the various instruments in the marketplace. And recently, just over the weekend, they had a training program for financial journalists in respect to futures trading, options, swaps, and other commodities or other products that are viable and economical and even profitable for Nigerian investors and investors as a whole. We're looking at some of these products in time to come to see the benefits of this product. And of course, like I said, FMDQ champions this cause because they think and believe that because the market has been so limited in terms of products, looking at it from just the equity market, they feel that there's a need for investors to take advantage of other products that are available in the capital market space and also make them to deepen the economy and create more wealth for investors. We will look at that maybe on Thursday when we'll be on Thursday, yes, when we'll be discussing with one of their representatives and see what he thinks about the market and going forward. And like I said yesterday, the management team of Infinity Trust Mortgage Bank PLC were on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange yesterday to present the facts behind their figures. And according to the managing director, Dr. Oladeinde, who says that the company has performed creditably well when compared to its peers in the industry, coupled with the fact that they have been able to provide housing for more than 38,000 families. And this, according to him, if it can be replicated by other mortgage institutions by 2020, the dream and the aim of government achieving housing for all by 2020 would have been realized. But because other institutions are not going the way they have done, it is going to be extremely difficult for Nigerians to have housing for all by 2020. And so he has said that there's a possibility that government may likely shift that goalpost by saying it will be extended for all for years to come. But according to him, he says that what they have been able to do to build a structure that has provided housing for those they have been able to provide for is to make it a long term in nature in terms of payment and also contribution. He says that for housing, for realization of housing for all, it should be between 10 and 30 years duration for anyone to own a house and be able to pay
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Adiaga, for that business report. We look forward to more, of course, on Thursday. A quick break will do. When we come back from this break, we're looking at Nigeria's new economic management team. What happened? Why did President Muhammadu Buhari dissolve the Shibajo-led economic management team and then reappointed? And then what are our expectations from this new management team? We'll be back shortly.
We definitely can't do without food and drinks. Tasteboard is a cook, drink and healthy lifestyle show, showcasing the preparation of easy meals and cocktails as well as discussing healthy lifestyle tips. On Tasteboard, we teach you how to prepare mouth-watering meals, dining on a budget, preparing delicious meals from leftovers, showing you kitchen tricks and healthy lifestyle tips. Join me on MITV every Saturdays from 8:30 to 9 p.m. For sponsorship and advert placement, please contact the numbers showing on your screen. Tasteboard, pleasing to taste.
Welcome back. It's still the Bumper Breakfast Show. If you're just joining us, get your cup of coffee or your cup of tea ready. We're looking at the story that broke yesterday and the new appointment of the new economic management team that was just announced just yesterday. Of course, President Muhammadu Buhari just yesterday replaced the economic management team led by the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo with the Economic Advisory Council and the new EAC, which will report directly to the president, will be chaired by an economist, Professor Doyin Salami. Buhari Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, said the EAC would advise the president on economic policy matters, including fiscal analysis, economic growth, a range of internal and global economic crisis issues, working with the relevant cabinet members and heads of monetary and fiscal agencies. He said the council, which is expected to assist the president in the development of critical policies, would hold monthly sessions. Other members of the council are Dr. Mohammed Sagagi, the vice chairman, Professor Ode Ojowu, a member, Dr. Shehu Yaya, a member, Dr. Yabo Masha, a member, Professor Shukuma Soludo, a member, Mr. Bismarck Rewani, a member, and Mr. Muhammad Adaya Salisu, the secretary of that advisory council. I'm joined this morning again, still in the studio with us, of course, is Aare, Oladeinde, Ariyo on my right, and Mr. Alexander Orji joins us again. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yes, let's talk about this disbandment of the last economic management team. Let's talk about their performance. How did they do?
You want to start with me? Well, I think government is a continued process, and I've actually seen that there are enormous challenges with the country. This was a country which has slept into
Recession.
Technical recession, initially technically, then it became a full-blown recession, and it was able to still come out of it, and still despite with the various challenges of the Boko Haram insurgency, security, continued threats to investments, because with the continued unrest, obviously will not give impetus for any investor to have a peace of mind in investing in a country or in a volatile region or nation. So I think what they inherited, it could be said that yes, the economic management thing that was headed by then Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, actually did their bits, but however, they could have done better by reaching out and actually getting to consult with the people. The biggest challenge is, I think, usually with the ruling classes, this continued sideline of the people and creating an attitude of I know it all and not giving room for people to come in and actually make an impact. Because in as much as it has to do with policies, you need to get feedbacks from the people. And it's also how those policies are impacting, especially with the external forces.
Okay.
It's a great challenge when you isolate the people that you should be talking to, and then you wonder who indeed are you making these laws for however. But I think they've been able to do a great deal of job, and we hope that the new team now, which is really rich in terms of its composition, would even do more, because if you look at the current constitution of the advisory team, it is actually in tandem with the American system of government. It's actually what the president usually sets up at the initial inauguration, which indeed you have these individuals who we have seen their performances in the past. For instance, Soludo, my dear brother, who was a one-time CBN governor. He did credibly well, and we saw some of the policies he did then and how he was able to secure the continued wage of war with the foreign currencies and all of that. You're also seeing the chairman of the current advisory board. So it's not left out with Bismarck Rewane, who's also a good economist. But it is how they're able to manage their affairs, especially with regards to the current tension in the nation now, because the country is completely tense in every aspect. We're looking at the returnees from South Africa, a lot of people considering to come back home. We're grappling with a lot of tensions within the country. There's a lot of issues that have to do with power, and in fact, all aspects of the economy is really tense. So it is them now to really open up the channel to allow people to be able to communicate with them and make themselves accessible. I'm not saying that they should, allow every Tom, Dick, and Harry to pester them, because they still need concentration to be able to do
what they need to do.
I will also commend the president for that bold step in really, because one of the great things you also look at for is that it takes courage to do what he just did in dismantling the old
economic team.
Yes, and then inaugurating this. And then
let me cut in there. Aare, well, do you agree with Alexander that the last economic management team were able to do their bit?
I like the way he started by recognizing the fact that in governance there's no vacuum. Continuity is very critical.
Yes.
And no matter the benchmark anyone may want to apply, what they gave was their best. It might not have achieved the ultimate for Nigeria as a nation or for the people, but they gave their best. However, with the new team, I don't know why I've been extremely excited about them. Maybe because there are people I know that I can identify with. Bismarck Rewane, I know him so well. We've done a lot of things together in the time past. The man who is the chairman of the committee now, I've listened to him several times, discuss the economy, and it's well grounded. Nobody will say that doesn't know Soludo in this country. It was advisor, became CBN governor, and I think he gave his best too. Professor Ojo too, he was also there. Ojo was here when Oladeinde was president. So they have a pedigree that we can identify with.
Okay.
So my prayer now, so to say, is that they will be empowered to give their best. Yes, we've had to be meeting monthly for technical reviews and all of that. Well, I'm sure within them, they must have means, thank God for technology, of communicating and relating, because there's something that will demand quick answer, quick response.
Yes.
That will not wait for that 1 month.
For
it's
the 1 month meeting.
Oh, yes. But Nigerians can be well assured now that they have a good team in place and they will do wonders.
You have so much belief in them.
I am telling you, I know them. I know them.
You have so much expectation in the team. But the issue of the VAT increase, the 7.2% increase in VAT.
Oh, the VAT, okay.
Is one of the things that Nigerians would expect that this economic management team or the economic advisory team will be advising the president on.
One of the things I've seen with this government is the fact that they still do not understand the power of communication. When I say communication, I mean effective communication, which of course must be proactive as well. Now, ahead of such a suggestion, let me say now, I expected to have given some public education and mass enlightenment, why the people should embrace it. Because all the things I've read about it now are very negative. Nobody seems to accept it. Because they see it as another way of
encumbering the
people. Of taking from the people what they're giving them with the letters from the right hand, judging from the salary, the 30,000 minimum salary. So, I mean, even me, I refuse to accept it. All the reasons given, for all I care, they do not gel with me. The ones that we presently pay, how well utilized is it? To now say you want to increase it? Especially when everybody knows that things are not what they should be in Nigeria.
Things are tough.
There's so much of poverty here. I mean, I didn't say it. The World Bank said Nigeria is the poorest country of the world.
That's not true.
That 94 million people here live below poverty line.
And that's not true.
So how do you now want to burden the same people with additional taxation?
Aare, but I disagree.
I'm lost.
I disagree. That's
I
not
may
true.
not have.
Yes,
sorry?
Nigerians are poor. Nigerians, we have some Nigerians that are really, really poor.
Yeah.
But I don't believe we're the poverty capital of the
They
world.
should begin. You may say so, you may not say so. You may agree, you may not agree. The point is, those who came up with the figures, they did their homework.
They go to countries like Madagascar,
they didn't just go to
Lesotho.
bed. They didn't just go to bed and then they woke up and say, hey, Viola, they did some works. Give it to them. If they have said that Nigeria's economy is the best in the world, maybe we would have been happy. But for me, economy shouldn't be about figures and statistics. It should be about the people. The welfare of the people, the wellness of the people, their financial well-being, their purchasing capability and power. That's my concern. It's not there.
Alex.
First of all, the increase of VAT is not something that's just coming in. It's been on the front burner. In fact, when Lagarde's last visit to Nigeria, first she actually suggested that the VAT should be increased to about 10%. The idea was that seeing that the government expenditure was not sustainable with regards to its internal generated revenue, especially the fact that our major source of income comes from oil. And then if you're looking at the fact that there's a whole lot of gaps within the taxpayers, just recently we had the Bureau of Statistics and the FIRS released a figure that about 84% of Nigerians don't pay tax. I thought that should have been the very starting point to, first of all, tackle those areas that you've been able to identify as the major bane of contention. If you're saying about 84% of Nigerians are not paying tax, that's the biggest problem. So I would have preferred a situation where that would have been addressed.
First of all.
Yes, go to the root of the matter and ensure why these people not paying taxes. Perhaps we've not captured them in the database, because if you've captured them, you should be able to make references to them, just as you were able to bring up some data of some names. Those up came out to clear their names and said, yes, we've been paying taxes and all that. But there's a need to go down to the root of the problem. And first of all, beginning to do the proper data capture of an individual. It is a known thing all over the world that you must pay taxes. That's the only way the economy can actually be sustained. Then coasting it home, I think the president has realized the need of putting the proper, individuals to man the various offices. And he did that well by, the appointment of Timmy Priscilla, who I know is somebody who's grounded in the oil and gas sector. He's actually worked with the past ministers. And he's been in a good play in the oil and gas industry for a long time. And actually, he was instrumental to setting up one of the LNGs in Bielsa, I think, Brass LNG, and then also he was a former sitting governor who governed the state for over 4 years then. And you could see now that him coming to the helm of affairs, which is the most sensitive ministry that actually where the bulk of the survival of the economy, it comes from. So I'm expecting him to come up with some policies, which I know he's doing some reviews now. Let's see how, especially with the current spate of issues in Saudi Arabia, would profiteer Nigerians to be able to get enough to be able to defend the economy. Because if we don't have a lot of revenues coming in, it'll be difficult to defend the economy. And that's where the issue of the VAT, which is an alternative, you know, is being
So like a quick
sought
fix.
for. Yeah. So it's basically the economics team too would be doing a great justice by, first of all, looking at the justification of this increase. Like you just said, perhaps letting Nigerians know the need. We're about the lowest in terms of VAT, you know, especially with our growth on GDP. There's definitely no way 5% is sustainable. But what we can do in the interim is to ensure
That
we
everybody
do,
even pays that 5%
tax.
first.
Even if it's at least 80% of Nigerians are paying tax, perhaps
The 5% first.
the economy can actually be sustainable in the interim.
Let's.
I still think it's a lazy man's approach, just increasing VAT by percentage. Look, those who pay tax in Nigeria, they are less than half of the workforce,
And that's exactly what he's saying
which
now.
he said. So they should look for ways of attracting people to
To
the
pay.
tax net, whereby willingly they
People
will
pay.
pay. Oh yes, that's important. Number two, it's been over 20 years now of democracy in Nigeria. We continue importing petrol, diesel, and kerosene. Whereas, if it has taken a government between then and now to have given us a new refinery, we will have stopped exporting crude oil the way we've been doing it and be exporting finished products, increasing our earning capacity. Then there'll be more money. So
To spend.
then, of course, we will have created employment. Then more people also pay tax. Do you understand me?
Let's not forget the fact that all this is opening up of opportunities. We have been a country of recklessness in the past. And I think the prudency is now bringing out the fact that there's so many loopholes. And those loopholes are now what is now
You're
being
saying that
addressed.
now this
I'm
government is a
concerned
bit
that-
We can
amount
actually
of
see that
money-
there's a different attitude with this government and then the previous one.
Yeah.
We've actually seen this reckless attitude displayed by the previous
Don't
government,
forget
which this
that,
government is trying to make
in his first coming,
difference.
he promised to build a refinery.
Yeah,
We were expectant, in the first 4 years that it will happen. The 4 years came and then it went.
Yeah, but you need to look at the
amount
credibility
money,
of the minister
what
who
we
was there
presently
before.
pay, what we presently spend as subsidy on petroleum products is so massive that it bears common sense. And in your prime moment, you ask yourself, if you are Nigeria, will you run your life this way?
No, but I think
Because that amount is huge. And
of course,
remember
it's
that
embarrassing.
Mr.
It's even
Buhari
embarrassing, but we still
queried
do.
rationale behind subsidy before he became president. So when he got in there,
But the problem.
let me finish. When he got in there, maybe he got a new understanding. But that new understanding has not been communicated for all I care. I wish to know. But now, we now pay far more as subsidy. How do you add that up? I may not have a degree in economics.
Okay, I think first of all, the major